Now, over the past few months, I have been on quite a few different sets. These sets having so much gear on them, from cameras to lights to talent to props, you name it. These have been some very fun sets to be on. But there has been one accessory that I never thought would be so crucial, but has quickly become one of my favorite go-to accessories on set, and that is a comm system. Now, sure, yes, you could absolutely just go with a set of walkie-talkies, but it seems like comms for filmmakers has really been making a huge push lately. I mean, they have a lot of really great features, such as the fact that you have one ear on, one ear free, so that way you can still hear what's going on set. They also have something where you can actually swap them down in order to turn them on and then flip them up in order to mute them. And so this product category isn't anything new, but for me, it has been something that I have not been able to go on set without. So when Accsoon reached out and asked me if I wanted to test out the Como set, it was a no-brainer. I absolutely wanted to check them out, not only because the truth is that I didn't actually have a set of comms of my own, but I had been using a lot of other comms from different manufacturers, and I wanted to see how these sort of stacked up, what were my initial thoughts on them, but ultimately be able to showcase you guys how a set of comms like this could actually benefit you on your set. Now, just to be fully transparent, this video is sponsored by Accsoon, and I have been working with Accsoon for years at this point, reviewing a lot of their different accessories because they're not new to the wireless transmission game. In fact, when it comes to video transmission, they are my go-to. I've been using a lot of their video transmissions, whether that's HDMI or SDI, or even now being able to use 4K 60 with video transmission. They have it down when it comes to video, but this was gonna be my first experience using their audio system. I decided to break everything out literally on set, as I normally do, which is not the way you should do it, but I decided to unbox everything on a fun shoot I was doing with my good friend Justin Porter. Now, we had a blast on that day, and there's a lot more content coming out on that day of shooting, but this video is about these comms. Now, when I first got them out of the box, the first thing I realized was that they actually have two different sets. So when you're shopping for them, they do have kits that you can absolutely pick up, but if you're only needing like one or two, then I guess having one really wouldn't make sense. You're gonna talk to yourself. But I guess if you're shopping for these, there is something to keep in mind. So there are two different versions. You have the host and then you have the remote. As it probably is pretty self-explanatory, the host is the main one. It sends out the signals to the rest of them, and then everything else sort of connects to it. The nice thing is that you can have up to 8 remotes connected to the one host, which means that gives you 9 connection points. So you can have an entire crew pretty much on comms. That way you can have direct conversation with people as needed. As I mentioned before, the nice thing about this one is it has a lot of the features you would expect to see in a comm system. You have the ability to mute your mic by just turning the mic up. You also have a neat feature that I found in this one that I haven't seen in any other of the comms that I've used personally, but they do have noise cancellation. Now, I tested this out and it works really great with voices. I also tried it with music, and I could still hear some of the music bleeding through, but you could also sort of hear the noise cancellation trying to cut it out. Now, if you don't like that feature, the nice thing is that you also can turn it off with just a push of a button. You do have a few buttons on the side of it to mention. You also have your volume button that allows you to turn it up and down to your own content, and then obviously you can turn the thing on and off. Setting this thing up is actually super easy as well. You just have to pair the comms, and I found that pairing them only took a matter of seconds, and I didn't read a single manual because I don't do that. So I just pretty much tried to wing it. I found the sync buttons on both, pressed them, and they worked. Now, when it comes to power, you get 2 batteries with each one of these units. One other thing to note on the battery is that you actually get 10 hours of battery life, which is absolutely amazing. I've never really had to run more than 10 hours on a set. If I did, then I pretty much hated my life. But again, you do get that secondary battery if you need to swap. A few additional accessories that come inside the box is individual ear mounts that you can actually swap out. So there'll be one on the unit, and then you get an extra one, as well as an extra windscreen to go over the microphone. Now, the big question that a lot of people have when it comes to comms like this is the range. Now, the box actually says that this thing has a range of 400 meters, and that's roughly around 1,300 feet or so. However, I have found that it's never really just like the line of sight distance that becomes an issue for me. It's literally its ability to pass through walls and then still go a long distance. So I decided to do a test where I went out with the actual comms themselves. I had one of the host units on, and then I had a remote unit inside the studio at the furthest point. Now, I was actually doing this shoot over at Captive, and there are quite a few walls just because not only is it a studio, but it also has working offices. So we had to pass through a few walls to go outside. And then once you get outside, there are these large brick walls outside of Captive, and that this signal had to be able to pass through. So I walked outside, and then I started heading across the street into the parking lot. All this to say that I roughly got about 300 feet away before the connection started to go out, but it was all the walls I was passing through that I was super surprised at how good it was. I don't think I'll ever be that far away from the rest of the crew when I'm actually, talking on comms. The only time I could see you getting pretty far away is if you were doing some like car shoot or something along those lines. But normally you're in the chase car even with the driver, so that way you still stay pretty close so you can nail your shot. So ultimately, I think the distance won't be an issue, especially if you have to be in an area where you're multiple rooms away. I think you're going to be totally fine. Now, when it comes to the build quality, I will say it is basically made out of plastic, but it is nice because it does keep it fairly lightweight, because I had this thing on my head the entire day and didn't even realize the weight at any point. The other thing that I'll say about this device when it comes to the actual design is that it is pretty modular. And so I have a pretty big head, but it fit on me without any issues, even though I like to wear a hat on set all day. So I don't think you'll really have any problems there. And then, of course, there is padding on the actual unit itself, which is fantastic, not only on the ear, but also on the head, which makes it very comfortable to use all day. I will say, as much as I love this unit, they have actually come out with a even more affordable version of this called the Accsoon Como SE. So if you are shopping for a good headset at this point, I would strongly probably recommend either checking out the Como or checking out the Como SE. Honestly, the Como SE has a lot of the same features as this one, and it is significantly less expensive. So yeah, you might want to check that one out also. But this is the one that I got a chance to use on my shoot. I absolutely love it. There's no way I'm showing up on set where there's going to be multiple crew members there and not bringing these things out. They are an absolute staple when it comes to coming out on set. It's one of those quality of life updates that you get on set that no, it's not necessarily going to make clients want to pay you more, or no, it's not going to necessarily make your video more cinematic, but it will make your time on set that much better. So definitely check these out. I have them linked down below in the description, along with the SEs. I'll have those linked down there for you as well, so that way you can shop the two and figure out which one is best for you. But thank you guys so much for checking out this video. If you guys have any questions, leave them down below in the comment section, and I will catch you guys in the next video.